Hi, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to my lecturer Dr. Wan Amalina binti Wan Abdullah, to my beloved friends and the audience. I'm Nazmah binti Muhammad Noor, represent my group members Group 10 to present our task Financial Performance Analysis and MFRS Compliance between two companies, MCOT Properties Berhad and Kin Steel Berhad. Our group chose two companies under property investment industry, which is one of the companies are classified under PN17 in Bursa Malaysia. MCOT Group Berhad is an investment holding company controlled by Tan Sri Azman Hashim. Their subsidiaries and associated companies are principally involved in the business of financial services, property development, property management, engineering, information technology, and consumer goods and services. To date, MCOT has total assets exceeding 6.3 billion ringgit this year. MCOT was incorporated in Malaysia on 26 April 1910 under the Companies Ordinance 1889 as a limited company under the name of the Temerloh Rubber Estate Limited. After their listing on the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange in 1961, MCOT diversified into oil palm and cocoa plantation. In 1992, after disposing a substantial portion of its plantation activities, MCOT acquired a 40% stake in AMMB Holding Berhad and 30% stake in MCOT Properties Berhad, then known as Arab Basin Development Berhad, transforming itself into a financial services and property development company. MCOT was privated in November 2006. In 2008, MBank Group completed the formation of a strategic alliance with Australia and New Zealand Bank, which is among the top 50 banks in the world. It is now the fifth largest local banking in Malaysia. Kin Steel Berhad is a Malaysia-based investment holding company which is engaged in manufacturing and trading of steel bars and related products. The company segment are steel-related products and properties investment. The steel-related product segment is involved in the manufacturing and trading direct reduction iron, steel billet, beam blooms, steel bars, and etc. The company's range of long steel products is used in the manufacturing, construction, and infrastructure industries. The company's subsidiaries include Kinki Marketing Sdn Berhad, which is engaged in trading of steel bars and related products, Harvest Vision Sdn Berhad, which is engaged in property investment, and Kinki Steel Service Centre Sdn Berhad, which is engaged in manufacturing and trading of wire mesh. Ratio calculation and interpretation. Okay, to calculate the ratios for both companies' financial performance in terms of their profitability, liquidity, and solvency, our group get their most recent annual reports for 5 years. Okay, as you can see here, ratio for MCOT Properties Berhad financial performance in terms of profitability, liquidity, and solvency. Okay, for profitability, there are three types of ratio, which is gross profit margin, net profit margin, and return on equity. Okay, for gross profit margin, from 2015 to 2017 shows the decrease of gross profit company. Meanwhile, starting from 2013 to 2015 shows the fluctuate on gross profit of the company. Okay, for net profit margin, in time series analysis, the company generated 11 from every 100 of sales in 2017. From their performance was very high and their net profit margin got increased in the fellow years. The company earned the highest 101% net profit margin in 2014. Okay, for return on equity, at the first year's analysis, the company had 12 profit worth of every 100 of stakeholders' equity in 2013. On the year 2014 shows the higher of return on equity. Meanwhile, at 2016 and 2017 shows decreasing return on equity rate. Next, we move to liquidity. Under liquidity, there are two types of ratio, which is current ratio and quick ratio. Okay, for current ratio, the current ratio for MCOT properties Berhad in 2013 is 3.81 and 2014 is 3.95 times. The increase by 0.14 is very efficient because it increased to cover current liability. It shows that at 2016 is the higher efficiency year to compare than others. Okay, for quick ratio, the quick ratio in 2016 is 3.79 times, meanwhile in 2015 is 3.31 times, which indicates the increase by 0.48 times shows that the company ability to service short-term obligation is very good compared than other years. Okay, under solvency, there are four types of ratio. First, account receivable turnover ratio. The ratio shows fluctuate in 5 years. In 2014, shows higher compared to other years. It means that account receivable is increasing day by day, which is very bad position for company because it has made up a lot of cash money. For this reason, the company must be invested by another sector. So, the higher turnover means that the company is inefficient in managing its account receivable. Next, inventory turnover in days. In 2014, the company has sold and restocked its inventory 162 times. The inventory turnover has been fluctuated over the 5 years. Account payables turnover in days. The company has increased of this ratio from 2013 to 2014. It betokens that the company accounts payable is standard position. Conversely, the Square company also increases but not more than that. So, those companies change their creditor policy and try to pay the payable as possible as to increase current liability. Okay, last, asset turnover. In 2013, every RM1 worth of total asset generated 0.16 times worth of sales. Total turnover ratio has been fluctuating over the 5 years from 2013 to 2017, but in 2014 is the lowest ratio. Okay, last is safety margin. There are only one type of ratio, which is debt to equity. And 2017 shows the higher of debt of equity amounted 60%. It means a high debt over equity ratio is often associated with high risk. It means that a company has been aggressive in financing its growth with debt. Okay, next we talk about Kinsale Berhad. Okay. Under Kinsale Berhad also ada profitability, liquidity and solvency. Under profitability, there are three types of ratio, which is gross profit margin, net profit margin and return on equity. Gross profit margin from 2014 to 2017 shows the decrease on gross profit of the company. This means that the company start to get less per product. So, net profit margin in time series analysis, the company generated 58.34 from every 100 of sales in 2014. From then, their performance was very low and their net profit margin got decreased in the following years, which indicate that the company used ineffective cost structures or poor pricing strategies. Return on equity on year 2014 analysis, the company had 20.36 profit worth of every 100 of stakeholders' equity in the previous years. From 2015 to 2017, for the consecutive years, the return on the equity decreased. This is a bad sign for the business and its stakeholders because the business is not worth investing in since the management simply cannot make very good use of investors' money. Okay, next we move to liquidity. There are two types of ratio under the liquidity, which is current ratio and quick ratio. Current ratio. The current ratio for Kirsty Berhad in 2014 is 0.18 and 2015 is 0.34 times. The increase by 0.16 is very efficient because it increased to cover current liability. It shows that at 2015 is the higher efficiency year to compare than others, but it decreased during year 2016 and 2017, which indicates that management may not be using the asset efficiently. Quick ratio. The quick ratio in 2015 is 0.18 times. Meanwhile, in 2016 is 0.19 times, which indicates that the increase by 0.01 times shows that the company ability to service short-term obligation is good compared than other years. Okay, for solvency, there are four types of ratio, which is first, account receivable turnover ratio. The ratio shows fluctuate in 4 years. In 2017 shows higher compared to the other years. It means that account receivable is increasing by day, which is very bad position for company because it has made up a lot of cash money. For this reason, the company must be invested by the other sector. So the higher turnover means that the company is inefficient in managing its account receivable. Next, inventory turnover in days. In 2017, the company has sold and restocked its inventory negative 172 times, which means the company sell more goods than you have in inventory. Why? This may seem odd or impossible. It's common in custom manufacturing. That is, a customer orders and pays for a product before its parts are ordered. Okay, let's move to the next ratio, which is account payable turnover in days. The company has increased double of this ratio from 2016 to 2017. It betokens that the account payable is standard position. This shows that the company managing its debts and cash flow effectively. Asset turnover in 2017, every RM1 Malaysia worth of total asset generated negative 19.6 times worth of sales. Total turnover ratio has been fluctuating over the 5 years from 2013 to 2017, but in 2017 is the most lowest ratio. Okay, last but not least, safety margin, which is debt to equity ratio, on 2017 shows the higher of debt to equity amounted 15.86. It means a high debt over equity ratio is often associated with higher risk. It means that a company has been aggressive in financing its growth with debt. Okay, to conclude, potential indicator of fraudulent financial reporting based on the ratios. A sudden increase in the debt to equity ratio means that liabilities such as a long-term debt have been hidden in off-balance sheet entities. If the value of liabilities rise, it could reveal that the company is borrowing heavily to finance operation and the risk of fraud is acute. Companies generate sales revenue by selling products or providing services. Likewise, companies incur direct and indirect costs related to producing or acquiring the products they sell, or providing the services for their customers. Gross, operating, and net profit margin are shown on the income statement. Over time, profit margin should stay consistent as the company targets a certain profit in order to stay in business. Ongoing pressure on profit margins indicate pressure on management, which could ultimately lead to fraud in the financial reporting. A significant decrease in a company's current ratio may point to an increase in current liabilities or a reduction in assets, both of which could be used to cover fraud. Okay, now we move to disclosure index. Okay, disclosure index is something that show that the annual report of the companies that have the MFRS compliance. Okay, here I want to state three types of MFRS that both of companies must follow. Okay, now the first is operating segmented under MFRS 8. Okay, as I know, both of the companies, MCorp Berhad and Kinsale Berhad, have been following the compliance that needed under the MFRS 8. Same goes to the foreign operation under MFRS 121 and related party disclosure in MFRS 124. Okay, based on the disclosure index, both of the companies has been following the company's compliance with operating segmented, which is under MFRS 8, foreign operation under MFRS 121, and related party disclosure under MFRS 124. However, from October 2017 to June 2018, Kinsale Berhad failed to maintain in Bursa Malaysia, even had been given the extension period maintain their position in the Bursa. Okay. The company failed to make the requisite announcement on or before 31st March 2018. Second, the company fails to submit the regularization plan to the relevant authorities for approval within the extended time frame. For example, on or before 30 June 2018. Next, the company fails to obtain the approval for the implementation of its regularization plan and does not appeal within the time frame. Okay. Next, the company does not succeed in its appeal and the company fails to implement its regularization plan within the time frame or extended time frame stipulated by the relevant authorities. Upon the occurrence of any of the events set out in the paragraph above, the securities of the company shall be removed from the official list of Bursa securities upon the expiry of 2 market days from the date the company is notified by Bursa Securities. Okay. So that's all from us. Thank you.